Everything appeared normal, until it wasn't. Inside the president's residence, everything seemed calm. Guards stood at their posts, lights glowed softly, and the air was still. Yet something was wrong. Deeply wrong. Giata was already inside. She had entered an hour earlier with a fake nurse's ID, saying she needed to check on a staff member recovering from an illness. It wasn't her first visit. The guards recognized Nurse Khalifa. Routine rounds, nothing unusual. They waved her through without question, without checking her bag. Inside that bag was a small black pistol with a silencer. Giata moved past the kitchen, down the hallway, and by the guards unnoticed. She knew the layout perfectly, which cameras worked and which didn't. She had trained for this. Quietly, she ascended to the second floor. Room 2D, the president's private office, was her destination. Her mission was simple: at exactly 10:13 p.m., fire one bullet and exit through the back door. Someone from inside would unlock it. Someone close to the president. But she wasn't the only one watching. In the control room, a young IT officer named Hamidou monitored the security feeds. It had been a quiet night, until one of the cameras went dark. He frowned and checked the logs. Giata had passed through that area, but there was no record of her entry. He searched her ID. Nothing came up. It didn't exist. His pulse quickened. Someone unauthorized was in the house. Upstairs, at that same moment, President Ibrahim Traoré sat in his study. He had just finished a long meeting with his top generals. His back ached, and his mind was heavy. Pouring himself a cup of tea, he opened a classified report about recent attacks in the north, unaware that danger was already inside his home. Unaware that one of his own had opened the door for it. Meanwhile, Giata reached the top of the stairs. Her steps were steady, deliberate. From her pocket, she pulled a small black device, a single button to send the signal, target in sight. Her phone buzzed. A message appeared: door will open in 2 minutes. Be ready. The sender's name flashed briefly: Sanu, the president's longtime aide. She had never met him, but the rebel network said he wanted revenge. His brother had died in last year's northern offensive, and some wounds never heal. Giata slipped the device away and rested her hand on the hidden gun. Her mind was sharp, but her chest tightened. Something felt off. In the control room, Hamidou leaned closer to the monitors, unease growing. He grabbed his radio. Security Team 2, respond. Silence. He tried again. Still nothing. Switching to another camera, he froze. There she was, a lone woman near the presidential suite, no escort, no clearance, too calm. His heartbeat quickened. He reached for the alarm, but hesitated. Was it already too late? Giata stood before the president's office. Her finger hovered over the trigger. Inside, she could hear him pacing, speaking quietly on the phone. Without blinking, she pressed the button on her device. Signal sent. Within a minute, the side door would unlock, by someone trusted, someone inside. She checked her watch. 10:12 p.m. 1 minute left. Then, footsteps. Quick, soft. Then silence. She turned sharply. No one. A shadow shifted at the far end of the hallway. She froze, glancing up at the nearest camera. Still off. Good. What she didn't know was that Hamidou had just activated the backup system. He watched her through a hidden camera above the fire exit. Every move, every breath. Hamidou immediately grabbed his phone and called the head of security. No answer. He tried again. Still nothing. Then, unexpectedly, a private line started ringing. It was Sanu. Hamidou, the voice said calmly. I know she's inside. Don't panic. Buy us 3 minutes. She has a gun, Hamidou whispered. She's standing right outside the president's door. I said 3 minutes, the voice repeated. Then the line went silent. Hamidou's hands shook, but he didn't freeze. He left the control room with no weapon, only one mission: warn the president before it was too late. Inside the office, President Traoré walked toward a cabinet to grab another report. He stopped. A faint sound came from behind the door. He turned just as the handle clicked. Slowly, quietly, the door opened. Giata stepped inside. She raised her gun, steady, calm. The president didn't move. Their eyes met. She took one step closer. Her hands were firm, but something inside her broke. His eyes weren't frightened, just exhausted. Not defeated, human. I know why you're here, he said first. My mother is dying. So is this country, she replied. You think you're here to save one life, he said softly. But this room carries the weight of millions. Her voice trembled. If I don't do this, they'll punish her. And if you shoot me, he replied, still calm, they'll kill her anyway. That's what people like them do. Silence. She didn't lower the gun, but she didn't fire either. Seconds passed. Outside, footsteps thundered up the stairs. The hallway camera caught everything. Hamidou reached the corridor, panting. He saw the open door. He saw her inside. He couldn't shout. One sudden noise might trigger the shot. So, he did the only thing that might work. He sprinted to the breaker panel and hit the manual override. Darkness. The floor went completely black. The backup generator needed 60 seconds to restart. No light. No voices. Just heavy, tense breathing. Giata could no longer see the president. She raised the gun again, but this time her hand trembled. A faint noise, maybe a chair sliding, then his calm voice cut through the dark. If you were going to kill me, you would have done it already. She didn't respond. You still have a choice, he added. His calmness made it worse. She had trained herself to shoot, not to feel. Yet in the dark, the emotions hit harder. Her wrist weakened, the gun dipped slightly before she forced it back up, her breath uneven. Down the hall, Hamidou hid behind a cabinet, his chest tight, heart pounding. He was scared, but more than that, he was angry. He had grown up poor, like most people, but he believed in Traoré, a soldier who listened, a leader who wasn't perfect but genuinely tried. If Traoré died tonight, the nation could collapse. So Hamidou made a decision. He opened a private emergency line and whispered into a voice note, "We have a breach. I cut the lights. Target is in room 2D. Repeat, she's in 2D. Move now." Then he shut the phone and ran to the backup power switch. Inside the darkened office, Giata sat on the edge of the desk, a gun still in her hand. Her voice was calm. "They said you were evil." "They always do," Traoré replied. "They showed me videos. Said you let people die." "Do you believe them?" he asked. Giata hesitated. "I don't know anymore." Silence filled the room. Then she asked quietly, "Do you have a family?" Traoré nodded. "Yes. My family is every soldier who came home in a box. Every child in the camps. Every mother still waiting for her son." The words hit her deeply. The gun suddenly felt heavier, almost impossible to hold. Downstairs, Sanu stood at the generator controls, torn between completing his betrayal or backing out. Giata's trembling voice still echoed in his earpiece, and it made him falter. At the last second, he flipped the switch, sending emergency power upstairs. Red emergency lights flickered on, casting a dim glow through the corridor and into the office. Giata and Traoré were still face to face. No words now, just silence. But something had changed. Giata stood frozen, the gun still in her hand, but her eyes had lost their fire. The red lights painted long, moving shadows on the walls like restless ghosts. Traoré didn't move. He watched her, not with fear or anger, but something far more cutting, pity. "I'm not the monster," he said quietly. Giata's voice cracked. "Then why does the world keep bleeding?" He breathed slowly. "Because peace is harder to sell than revenge. But if you pull that trigger, you don't stop the bleeding. You join it." Her eyes closed, holding back tears. Then she exhaled and lowered the gun. It slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a soft metallic thud. Moments later, the door burst open. Armed guards flooded in, weapons raised. Hamidou was with them, breathless and scanning the scene. They froze. Giata didn't resist. She raised her hands and whispered, "I'm done. I'm not one of them." President Traoré stepped forward and nodded to the guards. "Take her in. No harm." Hamidou stared at her, still processing what he had witnessed. Just moments ago, death had been certain, yet he had seen someone choose life instead. The holding room was cold and quiet. Giata sat on a metal bench, handcuffed but calm. Her breathing was steady, her eyes clearer. A knock came. Hamidou entered, holding a phone. Without a word, he handed it to her. "Your mother," he said softly. "She's safe. We found her." Giata's eyes filled with tears. "How?" "Sanu's network collapsed the moment you didn't pull the trigger," Hamidou explained. "He ran. We traced his exit and found the safe house." She looked at him, uncertain. "Why tell me this?" He shrugged. "Because you didn't kill the wrong person. You almost did, but almost doesn't count." Giata lowered her eyes. Hamidou paused, then said quietly, "Maybe it's time people like us stop waiting for saviors, and start becoming one." Sanu vanished without a trace. His name lived on in encrypted forums and dark alleys, a traitor to some, a coward to others, or maybe just another lost soul swallowed by a war no one truly won. President Traoré never spoke publicly about the breach or the attempt on his life. Days later, he was seen in the north, unloading medical crates with his own hands, speaking softly to villagers, tired, but still present. Giata remained in custody, but through unofficial channels, she was moved to a secure location under government protection. Some say she now works behind the scenes, using her knowledge to dismantle the same network that once recruited her. As for Hamidou, he never returned to the control room. He was promoted, not to chief of security, but to something rarer, a trusted voice. Because sometimes, the greatest victory isn't pulling the trigger, it's having the strength not to. The world is full of noise, anger, and misinformation. But in the middle of all that, there's always a moment of choice, and that choice can change everything. If this story moved you or made you think, hit the like button, subscribe for more powerful stories, and share it with someone who believes in second chances. Thanks for watching. Stay strong, and remember, your choices matter.